Hey everybody, my name is Brian Wiedman and welcome to the Gavel Strikes. And next to me is not Xavier Chavez. Unfortunately, he couldn't be with us today. He'll tell you why later on. It's a crazy story, but I do have a great show for you here today. I'm going to try and take over his job at doing the artwork. I'm not as good as he is with it, but I did pull some really neat items. And don't forget. If you're online and listening or watching, ask questions about the show, ask questions about comics. If you have them, I will do my best to answer. Since I am a one-man show, unfortunately, there won't be much riffing back and forth between me and Xavier. So I'm counting on you guys to ask questions and so I can interact with you. But first, I wanted to bring attention. Tomorrow ends our really special auction, the auction that we have been very excited for and been working hard towards, the international comics auction. These are foreign books, and it is sale 40210. So if you need to get to that, you would go ha.com/40210. That would bring up all the items in that sale. And I'm going to show a few of them off today. First of all is this flash cover. And it is really cool because this is from Brazil. This is a cover directly from them, and you can see it is not the same as the U.S. counterpart. They actually redrew this for for Brazil themselves. An artist from Brazil drew this, and this is in the auction tomorrow. It was Baron de Mensal, I think is how you say his name, and actually a really great piece. Not very expensive right now, but I expect that because it's art and not too many people know exactly how high it's going to go. I would expect to see that to take a huge, huge dump tomorrow during the auction. What a great chance to have a cover for your collection. As you can see, it has some great details to it. And just, I mean, what more do you want than a cover for your wall? Only at $330 right now. Definitely something to keep an eye on, something that I would look at for myself. I actually am tracking that. So I expect to be outbid pretty easily on that. Great item for us. Another book we have, going to comic books, another item we have is this Paquito 255. And I think I've had this on the show before. I think Xavier and I brought this. This book is extremely rare. There are only a few of these known. This is actually the front cover. And we have this was put backwards in the holder on purpose because on the back of these Paquitos were the first reprints of Action Comics #1, and this has page 3 from Action Comics #1, the Superman story. And as you can see, it is absolutely stunning. This is a blue label copy. A lot of these are, as you see if you go through the sale, are restored, but they may be the only one exists, so it doesn't really matter. Tommy, can you flip to the front cover of that? Which would be, there you go. So we actually, like I said, we have this in the holder backwards. This is what the front cover looks like. And after years and years of searching, I know a few major collectors that have gone through extensive searches in South America. Only a few of these have surfaced, so it's absolutely amazing. And they would have had each page in each subsequent issue, or the first 2 pages in the first preceding issues. And you can get the whole first reprinted Action Comics 1 right through Paquito if you can find them. When I say rare, I think only 3 of those exist total. And that's from the 1940s, really early 1940. I think maybe it's 39. This is 838, so extremely early when it comes to date ranges. So one of the first few printed, I think it was the first one printed as a reprint from Action Comics 1 into a different country. So not even the UK had it first. The UK's edition wasn't until 1939. So I would be, man, you can't even imagine how cool that is. The other one I brought with is Olobino. This is the first Detective Comics 38, if you will. But this is El Lobino 13, and it has the reprint of the first Brazilian reprint of Robin. Or I would say first origin or first appearance of Robin in the Brazilian format. I wouldn't say reprint. Reprint's a very bad word in most comic connotations. It's not really a reprint. It's really a first printing, first appearance in a different country. But they did sometimes redraw them. As you can see, this isn't an exact drawing of Detective Comics 38, so an artist would go through and actually redraw this themselves based on what the original art looked like. So when I say reprint, I don't necessarily mean an exact reprint. I mean more of a printing in a different country, first printing, so second printing with us, that sort of thing. However, incredibly hard to find. Again, there were only a few of these on the census, if any at all. Tommy, can you show me the census? I'm pretty sure there's only one or two of these. I got this in from a client and was just stunned at how amazingly low these print runs are. To give you a general idea, when we talk about pre-code horror, we talk about 1950 to 1955, where I think the lowest print runs of comic books are for America. Those may have 14, 30 to 50, prints, whereas these are items on the census, whereas these only have one or two. That's how super rare they are. So if you don't get this, you may not get it at all. Okay, let's see here. What do we got next? I'm going to go back to art. So don't forget, that ends tomorrow. It starts at 6 p.m. is when it will go live. That is sale 40210 at ha.com, as you can see on your screen. But if you guys have any questions, I will be here for the rest of the show. And then you can always reach me at brianw@ha.com, as always, or get me on Instagram at Heritage Comics Grader. It's sometimes a lot easier, especially off hours, to hit me up through Instagram. But I'm going to go on to artwork. And, unfortunately, I don't know as much as Xavier does. He has taught me quite a bit. So I picked out more items that were more for my style. What would Wiedman want? And that kind of goes along with the comic books, and I'm a big art guy now. I like art a little bit more than I collect the comics. Animation sells the same way. So I kind of did that with the art. I know that Xavier kind of looks for value and goes through some really neat things, but these are kind of the things that caught my eye. And the first one I wanted to bring out was this cool Garfield strip that is in the weekly auction. This is done by Jim Davis, or at least Jim Davis Studio. It is exactly what you want. Has John in a couple panels, has Garfield in a panel. The pizza box is empty. There's a great gag in here. And it was really cool. One of my favorite stories I have is that I was able to meet Jim Davis and actually pick up this collection with a couple others. And one of the nicest guys in the world. And I had to spend, I think, 6 hours counting. We had 13,000 pieces of items that we had to count and make sure we're all accounted for. And I just remember flipping through the items, each and every single one of them, and catching these flashes of hilarity and just chuckling the whole day. And it has to be one of my favorite days I've ever had with Heritage, was being able to meet Mr. Davis and go through the collection and just laugh and giggle the whole day long. It's still one of my things. If you can't, I promise you will never go wrong if you have one of those hanging on your wall, because every time you look at it, you just laugh. Absolutely love it. I know a few people who don't like Garfield. I'm a huge Garfield fan. I think he's hysterical. One of my favorite cartoons, comic strips especially. The next thing I have for you is a kind of a rough study. It's by Frank Bruner. What's really neat about this is not a finished published piece. And what I really like about this, especially, is try and find a Frank Bruner piece. Bruner didn't do a crazy amount of art, but he was so detailed in what he did. Even this rough study is just absolutely phenomenal. And as you can see, it's only at $115 now. Now, when I say Bruner's hard to get, I mean, he doesn't come around every day. Usually it's in our signature sales. So something as beautiful as this, even though it's a rough study, it's got this beautiful signature by Bruner. And absolutely looks gorgeous. It's a John Carter from Mars with Deja Thoris, and then one of the Martians in the background coming through the portal. Absolutely love this piece. Again, this is something I'm watching and something you should watch too, because Bruner pieces don't come up very often. And when he does his pencils or his rough sketches, his prelims, sometimes they're a lot rougher than this. In this case, this is pretty detailed for him. Absolutely a gorgeous piece that I love. Would love to have that on the wall. It's beautiful. Another piece I brought was this great Spider-Man piece with the Scarlet Spider. And I think this is really cool. This does have an overlay on it. You can see an acetate overlay. So typically this is a splash page. So it has all the information on the acetate overlay and the word bubbles on the acetate overlay. But those would have been put on the piece itself. This is by Tom Lyle and Chris Ivey. It's a Spider-Man 61 splash from 1995. Absolutely gorgeous piece. And you couldn't really ask for more as far as a splash page go, except for maybe him fighting somebody. But I mean, that is him absolutely right in your face. Great item for the wall. Something I would absolutely love to have. But just this one, I can imagine. I don't think it's too crazy now, but I can imagine it will go crazy tonight. And remember, it's only at $270. So I guess I'm kind of falling in line with Xavier. Got these great pieces that are just under $1,000 or under $1,000 so far. I think the next piece is going to be one that'll be a little higher, but I had to pull it. It's a great item. But items to definitely look out for. If you wanted to put this on your wall, you couldn't go wrong with this one. Absolutely spectacular. Haha. See what I did there? Spectacular Spider-Man, even though it wasn't. So sorry for the terrible puns. Xavier is shaking his head at me. He's probably watching this right now, chuckling at how bad I am. That's okay. I've got dirt on him, so he can chuckle all he wants. So let's see here. I brought an Avengers page. This is from Avengers 111. And this piece has crazy amount of action in it. This is from Don Heck. This was done by Don Heck. And I don't remember who was, Mike Esposito was the inker. And what I really liked about this piece is it has Magneto in it. It's got, all this fighting in it. You've got some of the X-Men in it. You've got some of the Avengers in it. You've got Daredevil in the page. I absolutely love this piece. This is at $777. I can't imagine that this would stay under $1,000 for very long. You got a great piece by Don Heck. You get a great piece by Mike Esposito, and something that you definitely want. And I think this says 10 pounds on the back of it. And that's how much it costs somebody. That is sad. I wish I'd have bought this for 10 pounds back in the day. I would not hesitate to put this on my wall. You have Marvel Girl on it. Just so much action from panel to panel that you could not go wrong with this piece. And while you got to understand that these things that I'm bringing up, I'm not kidding. I would hang each and every one of these on my wall if I could afford them. If you could afford them, you cannot possibly go wrong with this one. What a great piece. If you like the Avengers, and if you like superhero, you might not. You might like other things, like I'll show you later on. I have a great Space 1999 page. This is from the magazine. And what's really cool about this is it's a magazine. You can see all the dark detail in it. That was one of the things that I like when Xavier highlights all this little cross hatching here, all the detail here, all the little cross hatching and detail in the lower right corner, just throughout the whole page. And I think this is really a cool piece. It's got the whole team at the top. They're throughout the whole page, and something that I would actually really like to have. I'm not a big Space 1999 fan, but the artwork here is beyond belief. I can't draw stick figures, so the fact that you can get that much detail into small, such smaller panels and such a great page, just blows my mind. So, and that was done by Vincent Alcazar. Absolutely gorgeous piece. And then my last art piece for the day is a Green Lantern piece. This is from issue number 7, and I just want you to find how many Guardians are on the cover or on the splash page. There's, I think I counted out. There's like 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21. 21 Guardians from Green Lantern on this beautiful splash page, still at under $100. This ends tonight, and it's under $100. So if you liked the Guardians from OA, Green Lantern, you can't go wrong. I mean, that's not even, there's 21 of them. That's not even $4 a Guardian. So at this point, you're getting a great deal. But I expect that to go up way more. Again, something I'm watching because it's absolutely a stunning page. It's beautiful with all this detail, plus the amount of Guardians, and obviously there's a problem going on, and we'll have to see how that goes. But those are the art pieces that I would love to have from this week's sale. Absolutely love them. We'll go on to comics. As you know, does anybody have any questions so far? Come on, help me out, guys. I'm here alone. It's in the dark, even though I've got lights on me. Shoot in some questions for me. I'd be happy to answer them. If not, I'll move on to the comics. And one of the things I've always wanted to do with comics was to try and, give some sort of history lesson. And so I'm going to do that with this next piece. Most people will recognize it, right? It's a Detective Comics 27. So what's important about this is obviously this is a reprint. This isn't the original piece. But when people are looking at this book was reprinted a bunch of times, and it was reprinted a lot of times exactly. Now, in the case of this book specifically, there's not as much yellow at the top. The number and the date usually border that top, but that's not what proves that it's a reprint to me. Can you zoom in on the right side where the smokestack is, please? So I want to show you where that is. Okay, so when you zoom in on that smokestack, what makes this important and how you know this is a second print is to the right of that smokestack, there's another building on the original book. And on all the reprints, they drop that building. It cuts off. So where you see the edge of the book, there should be another building. And that is how we know for sure, aside from the word free, aside from the border at the top, on books that are very, very, very close reprints on something like an Action Comics 1 on the Detective 27, we know that these are reprints because they have very telltale signs on them telling us that, the reprints drop certain details, especially on Detective Comics 27. They drop that building, and if they drop that building, you have to know it's a reprint. It's a reprint automatically. It can't, if that building is not there, it's not the real book. A lot of people don't know that, so I kind of like to show people the difference. What I should have done was have a Detective 27 that we have sold up there, so you could see that. Do you think we could search for one real fast? A Detective Comics 27, so we can see the differences between that extra building. What was that? We're on it? Okay. So we're going to get you a picture so you can see the differences between the two. I should have asked them to pull it up. Sorry. It was something I thought of about 7 hours ago, not 2 minutes ago. I forget things. I memory of a gnat. As I'm getting older, it just doesn't work. So let's see what we have for the. Okay, so see how you have a building next to this is a real copy. This is 7.0 we've sold. So as you can see next to the smokestack, there's a building. And that building is what I was talking about. On the reprints, that building, that small little entryway is gone. So that's how we know that this is not a reprint. And plus that the number and the date is up at the top, really close to the top edge. That's another dead giveaway. Well, thank you. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you for pulling that up. The next thing I have for you is I don't know why I pulled this. This is not the one I wanted to pull. I think they pulled the wrong thing, but we'll show it anyway. Is this what you have up? I'm pretty sure this isn't what I pulled. So I wonder if they gave me the wrong book or I wrote the wrong number down. What did they give you as far as the next item? Well, maybe they did. So I pulled this, and it wasn't what my intention was. I must have flipped a number. But hey, look, we got a Dark Knight page in, Dark Knight 3 item in. It has Klaus Jansen's. Let's see, what is that? Klaus Jansen, Brian Azzarello, Andy Kubert, and Frank Miller all signed this. And I like black covers, so even though this isn't the one I pulled, it was still something I would look at anyway because I'm a big fan of the black covers. Funny note, I actually got to meet Klaus Jansen in Baltimore this past week. Nice guy, really great guy. Really enjoyed talking to him. It was one of those fun things when we were there. He was just so happy to talk to his fans. That I love artists who are like that. So as you can see, it's got a great piece. Okay, let's go on to Shovel Noir. I love this item. The reason I pulled this item is because we have a bunch of Dave Stevens covers in this sale. They just started. This sale just started yesterday. But if you like Dave Stevens, there's about 10 Dave Stevens 9.8 books in here in this sale. You definitely can't go wrong. He's very famous for creating The Rocketeer. The female co-star in The Rocketeer is Betty Page, of all people. And if you don't know who Betty Page is, she was one of the most prolific pinup images of the 1950s. Very famous pinup model from the 1950s. She was popular in Playboy. She had done a bunch of things also for her very racy photos at the time during that time period. So Dave Stevens loved using her as a kind of a model for his comics and his girls. This is not one of them, but we do have a Rocketeer that has one. Some great books in there with Dave Stevens. Dave Stevens is coming into his own. His artwork goes for thousands and thousands of dollars, but now the books are starting to climb because people know just how beautiful these covers are. He did a really good job with them. Okay, let's see here. I brought a couple raw books. One of them is a Looney Tunes number 7. I am fascinated with Bugs Bunny. I have been since I was, I don't know, 4 or 5 years old. Been a huge Bugs Bunny fan. I actually own a Looney Tunes number 1. And I've gone through most of them, I would say. I've gone through 1 through 4. And now this is number 7. So I need to go through 5 and 6. To go through them. I'm actually looking for first appearances. If you don't know, the first appearance of Marvin the Martian, which we all know isn't in Looney Tunes, it doesn't come out until 1994 in the second volume of Looney Tunes. So trying to find those first appearances, Taz wasn't until 1965, I think, or 62 to 65. He has his own book with Gold Key. And then Foghorn Leghorn, Yosemite Sam have been really hard to track down. I have been trying to compile a list of all those characters. Very, very hard to do because there really isn't a definitive, even Overstreet doesn't have a list of most of the major characters. I know Beep Beep, which is the name of the Roadrunner, by the way. If you don't know, the real name of the Roadrunner is Beep Beep, and he is married, and his wife's name is Matilda. A little fun fact there. But those, just trying to hunt down what all the first appearances are. Foghorn Leghorn, it's not in Overstreet, nobody knows. I've had to do extensive trying to research on those. Yosemite Sam is in one of the 4-color issues, very hard to find and track down. Beaky the Buzzard, that people are familiar with, he's very, very hard to find. I think he was in, I think now Looney Tunes 2 or 4. It was right around there. So, and I thought it was 4-color 16 with Porky Pig, but it's not. From Philip, should these raw comics get graded and slabbed or stay as is? So my general rule of thumb, that's a great question. I absolutely love when people ask this question. My general rule of thumb is if they have value, and I mean significant value. So it's for us, Heritage, we make this determination based on the $300 to $500 range. At that point, we may get it slabbed. As far as collector goes, my answer to that is keep it as is. You don't need, as long as you're keeping it in a cool, dark place, you don't need to slab it, because you would spend so much money slabbing the books, and then putting them in your collection. You can actually take that money and put it towards buying new books instead. Imagine slabbing 20 books. At a minimum, if they're modern, $20 to $30 a piece. That's $600 or $400 to $600. So you could be buying, you can take all that money and put it into buying new comics instead. So I never tell people to slab if they're not ready to sell. And then I usually tell them, let us make those decisions, because I know, we're selling these books raw. We're selling them for a reason, because they don't have enough value to take the time. The cost for the consigner of slabbing them might not be worth pressing, and it might sell just as well that way, as opposed to spending $60 to $100 slabbing them, and then putting them in auction. That's a cost the consigner has to incur. So I'm very, very cautious personally about doing that to the consigner. Great question, by the way. That really is important. Should you do one versus the other? By the way, slabbing is not hermetically sealed. So if you drop it in water, the book can still get water damaged. If there's too much humidity, the book can still get water damaged. Likewise, if it's too hot, the book can still cook, and it can it can become brittle. So the point to that is, just because you've slabbed it doesn't mean you've protected it 100%. You still need to keep it out of direct light. You still need to keep it in a cool, dark place. And I mean cool, dark, meaning your closet, somewhere where you're not going to have a huge temperature swing, where it's going to harm the books. But light will always harm the books. You can see these bright, bright lights on me. If I kept these books underneath that light for years, they would fade like crazy. So you do not want to keep them in light, and it doesn't matter whether they're slabbed or not; they will still fade, even if they're in the plastic. So that's a great question. Thank you very much. The next book I have is Black Terror, and this is Black Terror number 17. I didn't bring this book with me so much as because I want this specific book, or I would pull this specific book. But I pulled it because I love the Nidor titles. So Nidor was the publisher a lot. I think they went to Pines. They jumped publishers a few times or changed the name a few times. But the Nidor books to me are really, really some of my favorite books. They had great Schomburg covers a lot. They had some, with startling tales or startling comics. They had great painted covers by airbrushed painted covers by Schomburg. And so, my favorite one which is Real Life 3, is a great Hitler cover by Alex Schomburg. Emperor of Hate across as the slogan. The planes are dive bombing him like he's King Kong. I mean, what a great propaganda tool to get people in the war against Hitler, which is why I like the book so much. But these Nidor, books, especially something like this one has bondage, has a girl being coated in plastic, and the Black Terror is coming through and saving the day, and so they're not easy to get. In this case, I mean, we're looking at, I'm not sure what the grader said the grade is. It's probably around a 3-ish or so. It's got some water damage on it, but if you wanted to, it's a good minus because of the water damage. And I think I just showed you right there how we can even be apart on grades when we're grading these things. Yes, it does have great color. It does have a little bit of water damage on the on the inside. But trying to find a Nidor book just to own, especially one with as great of a bondage cover, or a damsel in distress cover, is not easy. So that's why I would put this in my collection. I wouldn't even think about it. I love these books in general. They're just great books. Hard to find. Get a run of Nidors. I trust you will. I promise you have a hard time, especially when it comes to finding something like a Real Life Comics 3. Those are so expensive now. And it took me 13 years to find a copy for myself. That's how long I looked. I had only seen 3 copies in that 13 years. Both copies before the one I got were just crazy, crazy, crazy overpriced. But that's what people do because they don't want to let them go. So, and the last book I brought for you is going to seem kind of strange. It's the Rex the Wonder Dog #1. I have constantly said that 1950 to 1955 are the hardest years to get. This book is one of those that proves it. This is from 1952. If you tried to put a run of Rex the Wonder Dogs together, I guarantee you, even in the internet age that we live in now, it will take you 5 years, maybe 10. It would be like trying to put together a Catman run. The books come up so very seldom in any kind of collectible grade. This is a 4.0, and usually when I see these are falling apart, they're tattered. Most people didn't collect these and hold on to them. So just trying to get any copy, let alone a 4.0 or one that's not ripped and falling apart, the cover's trashed, missing huge pieces, is very, very, very rare. So this is one of those. What's the census on this? This can't be very high. Can you scroll down a little bit, please? Census, census, census. Keep going. You'll see a row of numbers. Keep going. Keep going. There we go. So there's only 24 blue labels on the census, meaning that only 24 of them exist in a holder. I can only imagine how little they exist out of the holder. It's just incredibly rare of a book. So there are only 6 more that have been restored. So the book for a 1950s book, that's about par for the course in what we see. But for a 1940s book, that might have a couple hundred. For a 1960s book, that might have a couple thousand. So you can see the disparity between the ages and how hard the book is to find. Like I said, if you were trying to find this book or this run specifically and put it together, it might take you years, if not a decade or longer, even in the internet age we live in, with as many choices as we have to shop and as many ways it is to find things, how easy it is to find things. This book won't come around very often. Neither will any of the others in the run. That's how very, very rare they are. So, any other questions you guys have? Is this the basis for Superman's dog? No, Crypto was, I think, earlier. This could have been a flip flop. So it's a great question. I'm not 100% certain, but I'm pretty certain. So Crypto came out in Action to Adventure 210. Can you pull up an Adventure Comics 210 to see what the date on that is? Adventure Comics 210. So let's see what year that is. No. There you go, pass sold. There you go, perfect. So that is 1955. So you know what? That's a very good question. So it wasn't until 55 that Crypto came around. Maybe it was. Maybe that was some sort of inspiration for Crypto. I didn't think Crypto was that late. I actually thought Crypto was a few years earlier. That shows that even I don't know everything, especially when it comes to DC. I was more of a Marvel guy. But when I tell you that 1950 to 1955 is rare, try and find DC stuff in that time. And in finding an Action 242, which is the first Brainiac, 252, which is the first Supergirl, those are later on in the decade. Those are 58, 59. But the middle stuff from 50 to 55 in any kind of grade over a 3 is super, super hard. And that Rex the Wonder Dog very well may have been the inspiration for Crypto. That's a good call. I never would have thought that. I thought they were flip-flopped. So what other questions do you have for me? This is kind of fun. I don't have Xavier here talking in my ear and I'm getting questions. That's good. What other kind of questions do you guys have? That's what I'm here for. Let them roll. Okay. Well, if you don't have any more questions for me, that's really all I brought. I knew it was going to be a quick day because I didn't have Xavier showing me things and we weren't asking each other questions about stuff. But if you do have questions that you come up with later on, feel free to put them in the comments section, or you can email me at brianw@ha.com, or you can get a hold of me at Heritage Comics Grader on Instagram, or you can even give me a call. The number is 214-409-1279. As always, I do appreciate you guys joining in and watching us. Unfortunately, Xavier couldn't be here, and he apologizes. I know he's not happy that he was missing this, but that's all I have for you today. I really appreciate you guys tuning in, and we will see you in 2 weeks. I am traveling. This is going to be busy. Don't forget about the Collectors Summit. I know I will see a bunch of you guys tomorrow or this weekend for the Collectors Summit. That is a convention, a small convention we're actually holding at Heritage. We'll be giving you guys tours. Hopefully I'll get to see a bunch of you guys. If not, then I'm sure I will see you at some other convention. I did meet some people in Baltimore and New York. But keep that coming. I do like meeting my friends on Instagram and everything, and I hope to see you guys soon. Once again, I am Brian Wiedman at Heritage Comics Grader. I do work with Heritage Auctions, and I will see you later. We'll see you in 2 weeks.